Coast FM 963. I have the pleasure of having our lovable psychologist, Carlos Camacho, here with us today. Again, thanks for coming in, Carlos.
Thank you, Deb, for having me.
Missed you last week. You're at a convention or conference?
Yeah, I was giving a talk on mental health in the workplace, and it went wonderful.
Oh, good. There'd be a lot going on in the workplace, wouldn't there, these days?
There is. It was for the local government, and I had a bit of a talk first, and then we had a bit of a debate, and it was
Debate.
great.
I love debates.
Yeah, I was on the side of that we should tolerate mental health issues by individuals in the workplace. And there was another side that was against it, so we won.
Good on you. So you should. So today we're speaking about anxiety. It's a big problem these days, isn't it?
It is. It's one of those things that we can't escape because everyone has anxiety.
Yes, to a certain degree.
That's right.
Yeah.
We need anxiety, actually. It's part of our being, and it's helped us throughout centuries react to situations and, like we say, flight or fight.
Yeah,
exactly, yeah. And so these days we know a lot more about anxiety, and with the modern world, unfortunately, it's been a lot more difficult to control because of the pace of the modern world.
I was going to ask you that. Is it because of the pace? Yes.
Yeah. And also, actually, I did an audio yesterday, which I put up on my YouTube channel, and it was basically about looking at anxiety through the eyes of an individual in a big modern city or country like we have. And one of the main problems that I thought was the issue was that we just don't have enough time for others, enough time for our friends, but more importantly, enough time for ourselves.
So then we overload ourselves, don't we? Because we're trying to do too much and too many things and get around all our loved ones, and then we form anxiety.
Yeah, and we get into routines that we have to do, activities that we feel that we have to do. Yeah. We call them responsibilities, of course, but we need that balance, that yin and the yang, as the Chinese call it, where, sure, we have our responsibilities, we do our things, but also go back to what we wanted to do before when we were young, those dreams. And it doesn't have to be big scale. It can just be deciding to go for a walk, painting, writing, drawing, or catching up with a friend we haven't spoken. Making sandcastles. That time, that moment where we're just immersed in that activity which we love. That's wonderful.
Okay, so that's a way of releasing the depression and anxiety.
That's one way. I worked out there were two issues with anxiety in the modern world. One is we don't have time for ourselves, so we have to make time. There is enough time. It's just like going to the toilet.
Well, you have to.
You have to. It's not part of your plan. I've got this meeting, I've got to do this, I've got to take the kids there. Part of your plan, and I've got to go to the toilet. But you know what? When you got to go, you make time.
That's a really good way of putting it.
That's right. And so whether it's exercise or it's catching up with a friend, or it's having a rest or reading that book that we have on our shelves for all these years, make the time. Just raise the priority, just like it is going to the toilet.
Okay.
And so that's where the time comes in. There is enough time. We just have to make it a priority.
Okay, and
the second one, we'll go into the second one.
The second one, yes.
The second one is that we fall into consuming and buying things we don't need. So we start using retail as therapy because we feel alienated. We all do in modern life because we don't have enough time for ourselves, for our friends. So a certain type of alienation comes in to our lives. So we start filling it up with things we think are going to make us happy, and that is a big mistake too.
Retail therapy, like op shopping.
That's right, And it's fun and it's good, but it's momentary. We have to find things to do that are much more permanent.
Yes. Okay, great. And if you let your anxiety sort of go on without addressing it for too long, is that when you start forming, like having anxiety attacks or panic attacks?
Some people, funny enough, you say that, most people, that's what happens. But some people actually have panic attacks just straight out.
Okay.
No anxiety prior to that. Of course, they have a level of anxiety, like we said. Actually, all mammals do. It allows us to live in the world. I suppose we haven't caught up with the modern world. Our bodies haven't adapted yet, so we're still in that process. And so that stress may turn into anxiety. And it could also become a panic attack because we haven't addressed it.
And it's very debilitating. I can say personally that I have had a couple over the last, I hadn't before until about probably about 10 months ago, and they're very debilitating. And it's your mind, you're telling yourself, oh, I might have a panic attack. So then it actually creates it, doesn't it?
We're bringing it on.
Yeah.
The brain is like a computer. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out. So if you're hoping not to have a panic attack, but you're giving the signal that things are wrong, and the brain starts analyzing your body, that you're nervous, that you're worried, it gives you a panic attack because it allows you to respond to that event. And so what we need to do is the actual opposite. We have to calm down, take deep breaths, talk to ourselves calmly.
Nicely,
that's right.
Be your own best friend.
That's a good thing. Talk nicely to yourself. And because we always say talk nicely to other people, but talk nicely to yourself. Start with that. In a calm way, convince your brain that you're fine, that you're confident, things are great, because the reality of the brain is the true reality. So whatever the brain believes, that's what's going to happen. Whether you want it or not. It's just like you go on a computer, and you want to open Word, but you accidentally click on Excel. It's going to open Excel. The computer doesn't know you want Word. And so our brains is the same. If you want to be calm, but you're clicking on anxiety, the brain's going to give it to you.
That's right.
The only way to do it is to take a step back, talk to ourselves nicely, like you say, but also calmly. Convince the brain that we are okay. Just like an actor would do previously to a scene.
Okay, because it can happen even if you're not nervous, so to speak. It's just telling yourself that you're going to have it.
It senses something wrong. There's something wrong, that's right. And sometimes there are things that are wrong, but that's not the right moment to respond to it. And so we have that advantage from other animals, especially mammals that have anxiety, that we can postpone things. We have a bit more control through reason and rationality of how we're going to respond to certain events. And because we live in a civilization, there's some things that just aren't appropriate to respond to. So we have to make sure that we can carry ourselves as decent human beings.
Yes. And also, so therapy for depression and anxiety, does it help when clients come to you and actually talk it through? To get it, to address the situation? Is that the first step that you go to?
It is. I think the first step is acknowledging.
Yes.
And then as we talk about it, we call that debriefing, obviously. And as we talk about it to someone else, especially someone that has no emotional attachment or investment in our lives, like a psychologist would, then that is in itself very, very therapeutic. From there on, we introduce some techniques, and if the person doesn't, because it's a bit like learning the guitar. You don't learn the guitar that half an hour with the professor that's in front of you. You learn C, and then you got to go home and practice C. And if you do that well, the next week you try D, and so forth. And so in psychology, similar. People do not get better within the session. They get better later on at home once they start introducing these techniques in their life.
So you give them a head start and the tools to improve
their life. That's right. And then it's really up to the person always to make sure they implement them and practice them. So when a situation arises that could cause us anxiety or stress, don't run away from it. Use it as an opportunity to practice these techniques. So that way we embrace these times that are always going to come, regardless of who we are, of what financial status we have, where we live. All these stressful events are going to come. So rather than try to run away from them or hope they don't come, understand that they will come, embrace when they do come, because it's an opportunity to practice and to grow. Exactly.
Good on you, Carlos. Well, you know how you mentioned one of the techniques to relax is grab a good book off the shelf that maybe you need to dust off and you haven't read for a while. Well, when's your book launch happening?
Well, it's actually this Saturday at Toukley Library, 9:30 to about 11:30. Everyone's welcome, of course. It's free, and for the community, we'll be serving coffee and tea and cakes, and I'll be doing a bit of a reading. But more than anything, it's about interacting and meeting people. There's nothing better than doing some piece of art and then seeing the faces of the people that have actually acknowledged that and seeing what they think. I love that.
Yeah. So it's Goodbye Charlie Part 2, Carlos Camacho.
Yeah, this is where it all happens, Part 2.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not going to be put on the shelf of gathering dust. I'm sure people won't be able to put it down because I've read it.
Oh,
and
good.
I love it.
Oh, excellent! Thank you very much. It was a lot of work, as you know, and I'm happy now that it's available to people.
Great. We'll see you there. I'm going this Saturday.
I'll see you there.
Toukley Library.
That's right, Tukley Library on the main road there, any time from about 9:30. And the lovely people of Tukley Library, I'm sure, will make you welcome.
Okay, well, thanks. And you chose a lovely song to go out of our chat today, Carlos.
Yeah, one of my favourite top 5 songs of all time.
And why did you choose this one?
It's such a wonderful song. Mm-hmm. It's such a moody song. It captures really the spirit of someone that has lost everything and the need for the other in our lives. We are social beings, and this song by the Cars called Drive is such an amazing portrait of that person who requires the help of someone else.
Okay, well, thank you. Carlos Camacho, psychologist, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Here's the Cars and Drive on Coast FM. It's 26 minutes.
Nothing's wrong. Who's gonna drive you home tonight?
Coast FM 963. I was just speaking with our local psychologist, Carlos Camacho, about his book launch this Saturday at Tukley Library from 9:30 for his book, Goodbye Charlie Part 2. One lucky listener gets Goodbye Charlie Part 2 if you call us now on 4322 0072. So give us a call right now and you have a copy of Carlos's book. It's 22 minutes to 12.